No
It'll be
squiggle mints.
no nothing today.
Christo needs a squiggle.
Yeah. We'll have to set him up with one. All right. Hey everyone, Ponyo here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Dinner Mints. Before we begin, I highly encourage everyone watching to join us in the Art Blocks Discord. A link to our Discord can be found in the description of this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of our weekly show. Today's After Dinner Mints is different from our previous discussions, but it is something very important that we would like to address, and that is the topic of mental health. As the Art Blocks community grows, we want the platform and Discord to be a safe space for all. And now I want to introduce our guest for this evening. We have founder of Art Blocks and generative artist, Snowfro.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining.
Hello.
And then we have a clinical psychologist licensed in California and practicing in Los Angeles. I want to welcome Dr. Christo Franlin.
Hey everybody.
Well, Christo, thank you so much for joining us on After Dinner Mints. Can you start off by just telling us a little bit about your background with regards to mental health?
Yeah, I didn't plan on it, but early I started as a clinical psychologist. Los Angeles County has an emergency service when somebody's going to jump off a building or they're dangerous to themselves or others due to mental disorder. And they roll out a special unit to respond to those. And I did that job and loved it. And then I met someone I married, and she said, you got to get a job, no bombs, no jumpers, regular 9-to-5 job. And so now I do. I have a private practice and I do individual and couples counseling.
Excellent. Appreciate that. So I want to start by asking if, you're a clinical psychologist with an interest in NFTs. What do you think our community of collectors and artists should be aware of from a psychological point of view?
Oh, well, okay. So I think it's obvious to everyone that this is a really exciting thing that started, that generative art is the next step. It is a radical step forward in, like, how do you identify when is the moment of creation? Is it the programming? Is it the minting? And looking at what's created, I find it exciting, and other people obviously are excited about it too. And there's the financial aspect. So very exciting stuff. Okay, about the psychology of it. Anytime I have sudden emotional stimulation, I got to ask myself, okay, do I notice how I'm using this, how I'm interacting with this? And this is going to be true whether it's online gaming or time on TikTok or just reviewing my 401k, right? Anytime I have access to sudden emotional stimulation, I got to ask myself, do I notice how I'm interacting with this, how much time I'm devoting to this, and what emotional needs am I bringing to this?
Got it. Emotional needs? Can you explain further on that?
Yeah, not emotional needs like I need someone to love me, but emotional needs like with regard to emotional self-regulation. I ask myself, hey, am I doing this when I'm down, when I want to procrastinate, when I'm feeling hopeless? Not that answering yes means there's a problem, because we all do things to cheer ourselves up, to procrastinate, and to find hope.
Got it. And then, so these are not signs that there's a problem. Like, what are the signs that there could be a problem?
Signs that there are problems, like warning signs.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, okay. Well, classically, with this kind of situation, there are 9.
Okay, so nine 9 warning signs. Can we go through and maybe just discuss all 9 of them?
Yeah. So do I hide the amount of time or money or opportunity costs that I'm devoting to participating in or being online doing art blocks related stuff?
Got it. And then do you mean like hiding, like lying, or what exactly?
Like, do I notice that I'm embarrassed to tell a friend or somebody uh, what it is I'm doing, how much time I'm spending, what I'm devoting to doing this? That would be the thin end of the wedge. The obvious case is that you're not telling your spouse how much of your Ethereum holdings are you devoting to this.
Got it. Like you've just like lost a lot of money.
Yes. So the obvious case is when a lot of money has been allocated or lost. The less obvious case is when you're passing up on sleep, or other kind of fulfilling responsibilities. And then the most subtle version, the thin end of the wedge, is whether I'm embarrassed to talk about it, regardless of the amounts involved. Because if you're embarrassed to say how much you're devoting to doing this in time and attention, that's toxic shame.
Mm-hmm. Got it. And then can you talk to us about, the other 8 steps or 8 signs?
Okay, so am I devoting more than I can afford in terms of detriment to my budget, to sleeping, time at work, quality relationships with friends or family?
Got it. And so that was number 8.
Yeah. The next one is, do I begin to treat my time on art blocks related activity as my only form of me time? Like, if I haven't had some time today to check in on art blocks, then I feel like I haven't had a break today. And I feel like I need to do this in order to take a break for everything else in my life. And ultimately, if nothing else seems rewarding or enjoyable, then you've put too many of your emotional eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. And then can you talk to us a little bit about the other 6? So those are the first 3, and there's a total of 9 signs.
Yeah. The next classic one is, if I've asked anyone for time or money or their indulgence because I didn't meet one of my responsibilities so that I could prioritize online art block related activity, then that might be a warning sign.
Got it. Okay. And there's was that number 6, I'm assuming? So we got 5 more?
So number 5, if I've ever told myself that the solution to any problem is to spend more time and effort on art block activity, like that it's going to be the solution to a concrete problem like retirement, or to an abstract problem like, how am I going to show those I care about that I'm not a failure?
Got it. And then number 4?
Chasing losses.
Got it. Okay. And then number 3?
If I begin to feel anxious because it's been a while since I've done, that since I've checked in, since I've looked, and that nothing relieves that anxiety except going and checking in, logging in, and having a look, that's a warning sign.
Got it. And then number 2?
That the priority I'm giving to doing, for example, art block activity online, that the priority I'm giving doesn't change even though families or friends or workmates are telling me that my relationship with them has become damaged because I'm giving too much priority to this.
Got it. And then, so those are the 8 signs right there, and we have one more sign. And what would that last sign be?
Oh, the classic one. If I have said to myself or others, "Yep, I'm going to cut back," that you're going to come back in any way, and then I don't fulfill that, that's a warning sign.
Got it. And so that entails the full 9 warning signs. And what are these actually warning signs of? Like, is there that there's like a problem?
We can be more specific. These warning signs are warning signs that you are relating to art blocks, online activities compulsively. And that's not just like a term, compulsive. What you're saying is that if you are doing these things, these 9 things that we've talked about, in effect, you are damaging your relationships. You're spending more than you can afford in time, money, and goodwill. You're developing feelings of shame. And if you do enough damage to your own material condition and to your relationships and to your psychological health, in the end, you're sawing through the branch you're sitting on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's definitely not a good thing. You know, worst case scenario, are you thinking like worst case scenario, like people would starting to have like suicidal thoughts?
This is what happened. This could be what happens because let's say that you do get to the point of having a crisis. If you are ashamed and you've really dug yourself into a hole in terms of how much you've lost, and you've damaged the relationships that would have been supportive, who are you going to call on? How are you going to cope with this crisis? And that's why relating to this compulsively is a problem.
Yeah, and that's definitely a bad thing. Absolutely.
Yes, it is. So you were talking about suicidal thoughts or suicidal desire.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bad. But 2 things. One, there is a mile of difference between having suicidal thoughts and dying by suicide. So you can have those thoughts because you're in that degree of pain or distress. It does not mean you're that close to attempting suicide. Having suicidal thoughts is just a warning sign. And as with all warning signs, there's something we can do about that.
And what's that exactly?
Well, in effect, you've got to pull over to your pit crew. Just like in NASCAR racing, every driver's got a pit crew. You never see a driver just hop out, start changing their own tire or an oil, and then continue with the race. Every winning driver knows that part of winning is knowing when to make a pit stop. And the same is true with online activity. You got to know when to talk to other people.
Mm-hmm. And who do you think is on our pit crew, so to speak? Are these like family and friends, or other people in the community?
Okay, so yeah, family and friends obviously are important, and yet I would recommend the way you should do it is start at the highest level of care and work your way down. If you don't need the higher level of care, great, then step down to the next. But if you for most people, their family and friends may care very much about them, but not know what to say and not know how to do something that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. And then are there some resources, that people can reach out to?
Well, yeah. So, all right, we were just talking about starting at the top. So I would start with Lifeline. Lifeline, they've got online chat and they've got an 800 number. It's a 24-hour service. And you can just search them on Google or whatever, and it'll connect you right to them.
Got it. And for anyone that doesn't know, it's on the screen right now. So Lifeline is 24/7. The phone number for that is 1-800 273-8255. So thank you for providing that resource. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit? So does it sound like that Lifeline chat is a popular option that people go to for, if they're having these, thoughts and feelings, suicidal thoughts, or these negative feelings?
Yeah, it's a national hotline thing, and so everybody uses it. And certainly in the United States, I would imagine, given that you can also use chat, that you could do it from anywhere. But all right, so we were talking about the levels to this, and the highest level of care would be, for example, Lifeline. But let's say you're very distressed, not having suicidal thoughts, but that you see yourself having those warning signs, the 9 warning signs we talked about. You don't have to have all 9. You just have to have enough that you decided, I want to nip this in the bud. And so there's another one called GAM Talk.
GAM Talk. Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit about that organization?
GAM Talk. GAM Talk. TALK.
Got it.
So GAM Talk started off being for gamblers, but the reason the warning signs are the 9 classic warning signs is it doesn't have to be gambling. You could say the same thing about social media or gaming or other activities if one's starting to relate to them compulsively.
Got it. And so did they start off for people with gambling problems?
Yeah, back in the day, originally. And then I think people came to understand what's true of gambling could be true of shopping, right? Or online gaming.
Got it. And so so that resource for GAM Talk, it's GAM Talk. They're 24/7. There's a website, gamtalk.org. You can call and text also 1-800-522-4700. That's great. No, I really appreciate you providing those resources. So we have, some themes from some collectors that I've been able to pick up over the past few weeks. I mean, includes collectors and artists, and artists being collectors as well. And I would just love to kind of go over these common themes that have been brought to my attention, and just see if you're able to provide some general feedback on these scenarios. So the first one I have.
Take it around.
Perfect. So the first one I have is we have collectors that see scary talk from some users who put too much on the line with NFTs, and now they sound like they lost hope and sound depressed. Can you provide some resources, such as a website or telephone numbers, where people in this situation can get some help?
Okay, so anytime that what you're dealing with includes thoughts about suicide, use the Lifeline, right? We talked about starting at the highest level of care and then stepping down if the highest level is not what you need. So I would start with Lifeline.
Got it. So you would it be fair to say that Lifeline is for the more extreme cases? If you're having these suicidal thoughts, and then maybe if you're having more distress, like you mentioned, then GAM Talk would probably be the resource to reach out to.
Yes. Okay. So the difference being, if there are any thoughts about wanting to die, or that life can't be worth living, giving a setback or whatever problem, then Lifeline. If it's not that, and it's that you're noticing any of the classic 9 I'm talking about, then get in touch with GAM Talk and get consultation from them.
Got it. Okay. And then, obviously we deal with NFTs and crypto, where everything is very volatile. Are there effective ways to stay calm and positive when the market is down? Okay.
So I guess it depends. Let's talk about several scenarios. Just how overwhelmed are you? And we were talking about emotional regulation. if you are so overwhelmed that you can't think straight because you just you can't deal with the emotions of it, then you know what? Actually, there is a guaranteed thing that will work for that, and it's called the mammalian dive reflex. The mammalian diving reflex, and you can look that up on YouTube, is a reflex where you can use a soft ice pack or just fill a basin with ice cubes and water. It's got to be cold. And if you exhale and put your face in the cold, in the ice water or in the ice pack, and your face has to be lower than your heart, it kicks in a reflex and your heart rate will just drop and you will calm down and you will feel chill. And because it's biology, you can bank on it. This will work. And the mammalian diving reflex.
Okay, great. I'll have to definitely look that up on. You said it's okay. There's a YouTube video, I guess, kind of discussing
there are a
that
bunch.
a little bit. Okay,
There are a bunch.
great.
So that will chill you out, and it's kind of like hitting restart on your operating system emotionally. Okay, so but let's say it's not that you're emotionally overwhelmed, but you're anxious and you're captivated. You can't stop thinking about it.
Mhm.
Well, and on the first hand, going off and just stop looking. Get offline and go do something else, or go tell someone about what's on your mind and get comforting.
Yeah, I think definitely like disconnecting is probably going to be a huge part of this because I mean it's so easy. I think especially for myself and for people that I know, it's you get caught up in the game of being like what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing? And it just I think it's so important to just disconnect, even if it's for half it, even like an hour or two, just to like step away, get some fresh air. I think there's just some small things, but yeah, I'll have to definitely look up that. And what was the name of it again? That YouTube video you told me to look up?
Oh, the search term.
Uh-huh.
So mammalian, as in mammal.
Okay.
Diving reflex.
Mammalian dive. Okay, I'll definitely have to check that out.
So I wanted to back up to what you were just talking about.
Sure.
Like taking a time off, right, to turn off the computer and go run around outside or get comfort. That's step one. Step two is to notice, does that work? Because if after you've disengaged online and you're still distressed, you're still captivated, that's valuable information. That tells you something about, well, what is my ability to self-regulate? And maybe what you need to do is to develop mindfulness, which is the ability to be okay even though you don't feel okay.
Got it. And what are your thoughts on meditation and just some of those like more, I guess, Zen type of practices? Do you think that those are helpful as well in these times?
I certainly find it helpful for myself. And there's lots of clinical application of mindfulness. It's the ability to be widely aware. For example, the opposite of mindfulness is low skill captivation. An example of that would be you're watching a TV show and you get captivated when you're not even aware you're watching a TV show, right? You're watching the show and the character's about to open a closet and you're like, don't do that. There's a monster in the closet. That's captivation. You have lost track of the fact that it's a show. You don't even know what time it is. Whereas mindfulness would be aware of, I'm watching a TV, I'm watching a show. I know there's a microphone and a makeup artist just out of sight. And I'm aware of the larger pattern that this is part of. And That's not really the same thing as, for example, Zen mindfulness, which is, as I understand it, losing a sense of identifying with the thinker.
Hmm. Okay, great. And then, so we have another comment from a community member. They wanted to bring up the term paper hands, which in the NFT space, the level of scrutiny is a lot higher when everyone can just go to the secondary market, which is called OpenSea in this case, and publicly see exactly where a person bought or sold. So, with this in mind, it kind of works twofold. People can make fun of people when they sold low and the price goes up, and then people can make fun of others when someone bought high and is now pricing a lot lower. Is there a way that those caught in this situation can, kind of zero out the noise from others, or how should someone in this position handle the situation?
It, I think here's a useful way to think about it. The problem is not created because of reading what others have commented on. It's on reading what the others' comments. It's at that time that one becomes aware of one's own vulnerability. It's kind of like this. If you're in a room in the dark and you run into a chair, running into the chair is not what put the chair there. The chair was there before you hit it, but hitting the chair made you aware of it. Same thing is true with the pain you feel maybe when you read a comment online. There was a pre-existing vulnerability, and that was happening. It affects the way you perceive things. What is it that you fear is true? And it's that which makes encountering this painful. But the comment is not what inflicted the pain. It was your vulnerability. Like if you're opening a safe, it's not the turning of the lever that opens it. It has to have gone 36 left, 26 right, 12 left. And if those things have happened, then turning the handle will open the door. Same idea.
Got it. Okay.
If this is painful to you, then you need to look at what was the 36, 26, and 12 that's still affecting you.
Got it. Okay. The next comment I have is, some people have mentioned that the Art Blocks NFT community has been beneficial for the life. It motivates them to create and appreciate art, which is highly cathartic and rewarding. On the other hand, the space can be intertwined with social media, which can be highly addictive and can lead to mental health issues. What are some healthy habits that people should form while being part of an online community without falling into the trap of social media addiction?
Well, that has a lot of parts to it. And here's the direction I would go with it. The skill or the habits aren't actually about trying to restrain or control how much time you're spending in art blocks related activity. The skills, the mindset that does matter is almost the meta level. Are you being intentional and deliberate about becoming your future self? And that's what you're just doing with your life. And it would be true whether you were engaged in art block, being a member of the art block community, or being a member of your family, or being a member of your workplace, or just, everything in life. Are you actually being deliberate about becoming your future self? As opposed to saying, you know what, just do your life your usual way, your habitual way, your unreflective way, and just make sure you don't do it in a mentally unhealthy way.
Got it.
That's the
Okay.
wrong habit. That's the wrong mindset.
Okay, perfect. And then another comment we have was, NFTs hit so many levels of addiction and pumps the dopamine like nothing they've ever seen or nothing they've ever experienced. The addiction to checking prices, the FOMO of drops, making a big sale, the infinite black hole of knowledge, and the sheer speed of the space has sucked them in. Their work life and their home life has been affected to a certain extent. Do you have any, recommendations or resources for people in this situation?
All right. So it goes back to the chair in the dark room idea. If you find yourself relating to this or gaming or TikTok compulsively, the problem is not just, oh, I've got to change how much time I'm devoting to this, how much effort I devote to this. The question is, why do you need this? Why do you need this activity to emotionally regulate yourself? What is it that you are feeling that you don't want to feel?
Mhm.
What is your soul's complaint? That you're using art block to lose yourself from that. I think you will wind up enjoying art block and generative art and being a member of the community so much more, because there's a lot that's awesome about this. If you take care of the other stuff, if you figure out why don't you want to be present?
Got it. Okay. And I think in this space, there's a lot of transparency. So with that, there's a lot of comparison, and it's inevitable that you create comparisons between yourself and other artists and/or collectors. It can suck the joy basically out of things that you do. And then how do you put this in context and basically balance things out since you're comparing yourself to others on a regular basis?
One suffers in those situations because of what. Here's one model for looking at it. It is a pragmatic model. It's pragmatic in the sense that it helps you to do something about it. What is it? If you can identify, oh my goodness, I feel distressed when I notice whatever it is I noticed. And when I feel that distress, what is the thought that happens? And if that thought is true, what is the bad thing about that? And if that keeps happening, what is the bad thing it says about me or my future? And what that inevitably comes to is, there is something I fear is true about myself. And the reason I feel this pain and hurt when I engage in social comparison is because I'm not just looking around and run into this. I was already vigilant for evidence that what I fear is true. And so we see what we fear. We see what we fear and need. And so in this case, you have found what you feared you would find.
Got it. Okay. Another collector responded with, we also have a collector who wanted to mention to people that it's important to only invest what you can afford and potentially afford to lose. Also healthy habits like sleeping, eating healthy and on a regular basis, exercise and staying off Discord can help. They tend to find the Discord channel Block Talk. Block Talk is an area on our Discord where a lot of people talk about financial gains or losses, and it's a huge. It's a lot of like highs and lows, and it can be exhilarating when things are good, yet stressful, at other times as well. And how do you? I guess it's more of just like a comment that this is something that we've seen a lot, and is there anything that you can recommend to people who are basically, I mean, the amount of conversation in this thread, it can move very quickly. Obviously, just like with that's how crypto and the NFT space is. But is there a way where people that are joining these conversations that they should react or not react? Or I mean, is this something where if people are stressed out, do you think it's just easy for them to just leave the space, or I mean, just leave the channel and kind of focus their time somewhere else?
As you were describing it, you're right. That is what it's like. It is wonderful, and there's a lot of sharing, and there is humor, and there is passion, and there is interest, and there's creativity. So that is not the problem. The problem comes when somebody arrives, and what they bring to it is a pre-existing vulnerability, which perhaps they're not aware of. They only feel the symptoms of it. They get an inkling that that this pre-existing vulnerability is there because they find this aspect or that aspect painful or distressing or embarrassing or shameful. And that's where we get back to, we're talking about the safe, that before the handle will turn, there has to have been a 36, 26, and a 12. This is valuable information if you're curious about yourself, to know, is there a 36, 26, 12? Because that's the only way the handle will turn. For somebody else who does not fear that they have no worth, that they're not lovable, then the comments are no threat to your self-esteem. It's only the person who comes fearing and not really worthy who will be vigilant for, am I going to be disrespected? It's not the forum. It's the pre-existing vulnerability that they're suffering from. The forum is simply the occasion on when they get in touch with their own vulnerability.
Got it. Okay, appreciate that. I just want to take this time also to remind everyone that at the end of the day, we're all people. We all come from different backgrounds, grew up in different environments, and I feel like a lot of these do play a big factor in how we interact in this unique space. And I don't know, I think this is definitely great to have some discussion about mental health. It's so important, and it affects each one of us, whether it's something outside of the crypto space that we're bringing in, or it's something we're experiencing in crypto space and then bringing out towards, people in real life. So, we are all people, and I hope that everyone just think that, this person could be having the worst day of their life. And I hope that, we're just all looking after each other. And I just really appreciate you, Christo, for providing us some information, some resources that hopefully some of us can utilize if we're in a tough space or in, a bad headspace. And I just wanted to ask, maybe Snowfro, if, you potentially had any questions, or if you had any comments, regarding our discussion today on mental health.
Well, first I just want to say thank you again, Christo, for joining. Masood, thank you very much for hosting this, and you did a lot of legwork to put this together, so very grateful for that. And there's a few other people on the Art Blocks team that have really kind of taken this initiative. And I think you guys covered everything, but I just kind of want to say something from a personal perspective, that we're sitting here in a little get to know each other chat with Christo a few weeks ago, and kind of expressing our concerns. And I mean, I'm definitely someone that thinks, this doesn't necessarily apply to me. Like, this is something that I worry about. We worry about the community. I was around in 2017, 2018. I've seen everything go up, I've seen everything go down, and I've learned from this, right? And so here I am, I've learned from this, and now I want to make sure that we can kind of help educate others. And I thought it was a really meaningful call, until it was questioned, what the mental health is of the Art Blocks team. And it really impacted me pretty significantly, because I realized that I'm addicted to Discord, that I get into it with people, I let people get to me. Um, I check my phone all the time. We're all constantly checking our phones and trying to keep up. And when that realization was made that, like, again, we're putting this together for our community, but it's impacting us so much as well, that we all have something to learn from this. This isn't just for someone that lost money on NFT or made money on NFT. Like, this is for every single person in this community to just kind of wake up a little bit and realize, like, how much this can impact your life. And I think this is some of the most exciting things that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not talking about like the success of Art Blocks. I'm talking about the NFT space, the the community, like the massive things that happen when people from all over the world come together and share and open up. And maybe it kind of helps that you're behind an avatar and you don't get judged on who you are. You get to be yourself. Sometimes you're yourself and you say mean things, and I hope that maybe you realize that those mean things that you say, like, they do affect people. And just because you're hiding behind a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk doesn't mean it's okay. But yeah, this space is amazing. We're all very excited to be here. We're all very grateful for it. But as amazing as it is, it comes with its downfalls. And I was personally touched by uh, the commentary that Christo made about, questioning, like, well, how's your team doing? Like, how are y'all hanging in there? I see uh, Panyo, Masood, Druid, Dan out there, duking it out with people, our mods, all day, every day. Like, it's just, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that. Like, it's wild to think that you do something for somebody else and then it just hits you and you're like, well, shit, like, I'm, this is for me too. This is for everybody here. And I hope everybody can take that to heart and learn something from tonight. You don't have to be suicidal to learn something from this at all. Like, you just literally have to be conscientious of the fact that checking Discord every 30 seconds or every 30 minutes or even every 3 hours is probably not healthy. And hopefully over time we can all kind of get into a better, healthier spot. But while we're here, we should be kind to each other and listen to Dr. Christo.
Cool. Well, I appreciate those great words. I just also want to remind people that anyone watching this, we're going to provide some of those resources that we mentioned inside of the YouTube description. So, if you ever need to access any of those resources, those will be in the YouTube description. And, with that, I don't know, Snowfro, if you had any other notes that you wanted before we kind of sign off on this special edition of After Dinner Mints?
Nothing for me other than, thank you. Anybody that's made it through this long, thank you for listening to this and for taking the time to kind of, absorb and, just be nice to each other, be kind to each other, be conscientious, and we'll do okay.
Great. Appreciate that. Well, I want to thank our guest, Snowfro, and also Dr. Christo Franlin, who is a clinical psychologist licensed in California and practicing in Los Angeles. For anyone watching, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the Art Blocks YouTube channel. And as always, especially with this episode, be kind to each other and remember to buy what you love and what you can afford. And we will see everyone next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good night.